Hey everyone, this time on Tim Talks Audio, we go over 5 frequently used audio terms inside a mixing or recording studio. Whenever you're in a recording or mixing studio, you may hear terms that aren't exactly technical, and you're wondering what they are or what they mean. For a lot of the already advanced engineers out there, these terms aren't exactly technical, but they've been used so frequently that it's kind of the norm these days anyway. So let's dive in and take a look at our first audio term, muddy. Sometimes people will call a sound, a mix, an instrument, a combination of instruments, muddy. But what does this actually mean? Generally speaking, it's an EQ issue that's going on. I'm going to open up FabFilter here, and I'm going to show you a general area where to look if somebody says that something is too muddy. Too muddy is there's a buildup of these frequencies, and we're going to be looking in the 150 to 500 range. Yes, it's our low mids and the top end of our lows, but there's no exact frequency. It's all dependent on your mix. But I'm just going to give you an example here. I have something set at 232 hertz right now, and I'm going to really push it out in this rough mix I have going on, and you'll hear the mud. So mud is a buildup in the low mids, and you'll have to play around with your mix. But that's also why I used FabFilter, is because I can solo out this EQ region, and you can kind of associate what's happening here. We heard the body of the snare drum, a lot of the bass and rhythm guitars, and the very low end of the vocal. Audio term number 2, warm. When people are talking about a sound or a mix and they use the word warm, it's a combination of a few different things. Sometimes it's EQ, where the high end is rolled off a little, and there's kind of a gradual bump in the low mids that creates a lot of warmth. This can be great on something like a bass guitar or an acoustic guitar, making it very warm. This way it's not too brittle on the top end and has a nice body in the low mids. Again, we're going to use the entire mix, and we're going to do our best to make a warm-ish sound. You can also get this sound with analog or tape emulations inside your DAW. Okay, so here's a quick example. I'm going to leave FabFilter bypassed right now, and then I'm going to engage it. And you can see I have a very gradual bump in our low mids, and then I actually just have a high shelf doing a little bit of work starting at 4.2K. These aren't exact numbers, I just use my ears to dial something in for this example. Now audio term number 3, punchy. When someone says that something is really punchy, it's usually talking about the very, very low end of either the instrument or the mix. Generally speaking, it's where the low ends of the bass and the kick are. If the kick is really hitting hard in the super low end, that's got a lot of punch. Let's take a listen to an audio example, and we'll dial something in. Okay, so we'll start bypassed again, and then I'll engage this low frequency bump that I have going on here. If you need to know, it's currently set at 44 hertz, but it's generally the super low end, 60 and below. We'll engage this a little bit in. Here we go. Audio term number 4, bright. When we're talking about something being bright, we're talking about now the high end of the EQ spectrum. Again, this could be a single sound or it could be across the entire mix. If you want to brighten something up, you're going to look towards the high end of your EQ. So let's take a listen of a before and after. Now, audio term number 5, which is actually a twofer. It's wet versus dry. For this example, we're going to solo out our lead vocals, and I'm going to use reverb that has a wet-dry knob on it. When we're talking about wet versus dry, we're talking about how much of this signal is being affected by, generally speaking, a time-based effect, something like a reverb or a delay. If something is dry, it's unaffected at all. If something is wet, it's, generally speaking, all affected signal. And then you can always just blend in between. So right now the reverb is bypassed and we have the vocal soloed. Let's listen to a dry vocal.
We're stuck on a dead end road with the feeling there's nothing to lose. Tear the whole thing down. Kick up the roots from the old ground.
And now let's listen to an entirely wet vocal.
We're stuck on a dead end road with the feeling there's nothing to lose. Tear the whole thing down. Kick up the roots from the old ground.
So on something like this plugin here, or having things on a parallel bus with a reverb there, you can find your blend of dry signal and wet signal. This way you're not one or the other. It can be a balance of both. For this instance, I'm just going to use the knob here, and I'm going to start dry and start bringing a little bit of the reverb in, making it wetter.
We're stuck on a dead end road with the feeling there's nothing to lose. Tear the whole thing down. Kick up the roots from the old ground.
So there it is. That's 5 very frequently used terms in a recording or mixing studio. Did I go over one that you wanted to hear about? If not, post it in a comment and I'll add it to my list because I'm going to be putting a lot of these videos out. There's a lot of terms that people use in this studio that aren't necessarily technical, and if you're just starting out, you may not know what it means. That's all for now. If you found anything informative, please like and share the video. Or visit timflansbaum.com. And if you have a question, ask it in the comments and I'll answer it in a future video. Thanks for watching.